Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Katie Greathouse, and I'm a security analyst at Snowflake. My talk today is titled Unleash Your Inner Security Analyst. My hope is by sharing my experience and a few techniques, you'll feel as empowered and driven as I have to unleash the power of data and rediscover my engineering abilities. See, how do I go to the next slide here? Oh, there we go. All right. So a little bit about myself. I've been working in security and IT for over 2 decades. I've had various roles in both IT and cybersecurity. Some fun facts about me. I started as a musical theater major, a vocal major, and I wanted to learn how to program my keyboard. So as a vocalist, I could actually create my own music, my own background music, and I wouldn't have to rely on band members showing up. So I decided to take some computer classes and got pretty involved in tech. I really enjoyed it. I settled on the whole karaoke for my background music, and then I don't know, it's been a long journey back to performing on stage. I was a single mom. That's my son Michael on the left, down in the corner there, and I became very dedicated to my career in order to support my son. So fast forward to now, I'd say in the last few years, my son has launched my nest. I've gotten back into performing at some local events in the San Francisco Bay Area. And now these things are very important to my self-care and who I am outside of work. And also, I decided to do more singing every day, even if it's just karaoke. It's just really important to my spirit. So let's see, next slide here. So why I selected this topic. So working in my current role at Snowflake, I recognized really quickly that there's been a huge shift in what was expected or what is now expected as a security analyst and compliance analyst as well. With this whole data transformation happening to be successful in my job, I really needed to adapt and learn some data analytical skills. And I'm still learning them. Nowadays, analysts of all types require these data engineering skills to deal with large amounts of data. So I needed a framework to really follow to do my analysis and have something I could to follow for problem solving, to be successful in meeting some of the goals in my organization to drive this informed decision making. So let me just talk about what a data analyst is, some terminology, and this is definition provided by Google. So Google says a data analyst is someone who collects, transforms, and organizes data in order to draw conclusions, make predictions, and drive informed decision making. And some of the skills that are becoming really important here, and I think they've always been, highly efficient in Excel, SQL skills, and to deal with large amounts of data, you need to have those type of skills. I also recommend Python and learning visualization tools like Tableau. And I think these skills can be found in so many places. You can take a Udemy class. I actually found a really reasonable price Python class at my local junior college. So if you're interested in where to find some of these classes to up your skills, reach out to me. I've got some great ideas. I also took the Google Analytics course, and I really liked their 6-phase process for data analysis. And in the past, I have taken some other frameworks. And what I really liked about their framework, and what's really helped me unleash my data analysis work, is it's simple. There's not a lot of terminology to learn, and it's all in plain English. So I'm going to talk about the 6-phase approach to data analysis that I picked up from this course. And it's a course anyone can take. It's on Coursera, and they're also offering it at a lot of the junior colleges right now. As you may have heard, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft is investing in a lot of the junior colleges. So really great opportunities to pick up skills there. So the basis of these phases is ask. So really to understand your objective, gather the data is the prepare process. And in the past, as a security analyst, and this is where I've seen this change, we spent so much time gathering the data. And then once you gathered it and talked to all the people you needed to talk to, the data was already old. Like, you had to start all over again. And so now data is just at our fingertips, and now you don't have to do all that. You can, but you do need to adapt these new skills. So the other process that's really exciting and that makes, because we have all the data in our fingertips today, is the analyze process. Becoming familiar with the data, being able to use those skills like your SQL query skills and your Python skills, and just explore and becoming very familiar with the data to understand the patterns, and then be able to share those insights and visuals. And then the act process is really doing something about solving the problem that you found. So that's really a summary, and then we'll go into more details about what these phases are really about. Let's see, next slide. Okay, so I'm going to level set on some terminology, and this is right from Google as well. I just love how everything's just in plain English. So issue. So you might be solving to solve an issue is part of your data analysis work. An issue is described as a topic or subject to investigate, something you're investigating. A question is just designed to discover information. A problem is an obstacle or complication that needs to be worked out. And the data-driven decision-making, using facts to guide your business strategy. And that's really what your stakeholders are looking for, and how to make an impact. It's all about that impact to the business. And a definition for data analytics is the science of data. It sounds so intimidating, but it really isn't. So, I mean, like I said, there's so many of these courses you can take at your local junior college, and that's what I've been doing. So also the gap analysis is still very relevant. The gap analysis is usually what I would do previously, before this data analytical world, is really evaluating processes, going out, talking to people, trying to find gaps in the process and improving it. So these words will help you through your techniques that we're going to talk about next. So here I'm going to dive into the most important phase of this 6-phase approach introduced by Google. Okay, the ask phase. This is where you do your research. You ask informed questions, define the problem, and you communicate with a lot of people, a lot of your stakeholders. This is the time to feel empowered to ask questions in order to find the problem to be solved. This is also the time to gather as much information as possible and request transparency when needed. It's not always easy to get that transparency. You can always expect at least 20% not be revealed. There may be a good reason. Maybe there's a security incident, or maybe it's just unintended. But this is the part where you really want to understand who your stakeholders are. What is the broader business objective of doing this analysis? Who will share, receive this information you are providing? What are the expectations for the deliverable? All this is part of this phase. And this is where the scoping document or a statement of work really comes in handy. It'll be important to ensure your expectations are aligned with the stakeholders. And really understanding when you present this in the end, who that audience will be. So think of this phase as is where you do 60% or more of the work to perform the discovery, your research, gathering requirements, getting all the background information and context, anything that's relevant to your analysis. Yes. So I've got a couple more little tools here to use during this phase in your ask and discovery process. So I really have liked to use this SMART framework, and I've used it in other areas in my career, mainly for understanding my expectations in my role and what the deliverables are. It's a wonderful framework to really understand a problem or questions that need to be answered by your analysis. S is specific, and you can relate it to goals. Keep your goals very specific and narrow so it's clear what you're trying to achieve. Measurable, it should be measurable what you're trying to solve. Establish metrics to ensure you are on track and hit your goals. Should be attainable, achievable. Your team should be able to achieve this goal. You should be able to achieve this goal within a reasonable time frame. And it should be relevant to the business objective and realistic. And it should be time-based. Try to understand when the information is needed. What is the goal of getting this information? If you have a year, you might have the entire year to survey the whole company. If you just have a month, then you may not be able to talk to as many people as you like and gather as much data as you like. So another really helpful tool in my tool bag is this 5 whys, and you may have used this in root cause analysis. It's very common there. The 5 whys is basically just asking why 5 times, and you can't really solve a problem when you don't know the cause. So this really helps to understand the business objective, what the problem you're trying to solve, and maybe just keep iterating on why. There's no magic number of times you ask. You can do this yourself. You can also do this with your stakeholders or as a larger team. The more perspectives you have in this process, the always better. It's always better. And the cause is never what you'd expect. It's usually like something to do with a process gap or a human element of some sort. So I've got another technique for the ask phase. We're still in the first phase. Like I said, it's 60% of the work. Communicate with others. There are 3 primary ways to make your thinking visible. One is through questioning, one is through listening, and one is through documentation. So I highly recommend providing some sort of documentation like a 1-pager where you've collected all the background. You've defined your problem statement. You've defined the questions that need to be answered. You've scoped it. You've scoped this data analysis using the SMART framework. You know that it's realistic, achievable, it's specific, and it's time-bound. And you have all the background information where you could just hand it to somebody and they would understand the whole goal of an objective of the analysis. So how do we recommend a paper versus a slide deck? Just because it provides more context, right? Oh, I keep hitting the wrong. There we go. Okay, so phase 2 we're finally at the next phase. Prepare. Prepare is the second phase in this 6-step phased approach. So this is where analysts collect and store data this is the data that they'll use for their analysis process. You'll also discover why it's so important that your data and results are objective and unbiased. In other words, any decisions made from your analysis should always be based on facts and be fair and impartial. So it's also important to understand how the data is generated is in the form of logs. Maybe it's a survey, maybe it was a poll, and this data, it has to be collected. Where is the data stored? What is the data classification of the data? Does it need to be secured in some way during this analysis? Investigate, talk to the data owners, talk to your compliance and security team. You may already have a data lake within your organization, meaning you may have a repository of some nature where all this data is already being collected. And many organizations refer to this as a data lake or some sort of database or warehouse. Yeah, find that out. It may already be there for you. So step 3 or phase 3 of this 6-phase approach, this phase is all about getting the details right. So here, analysts find and eliminate any errors and any inaccuracies that they can get, that they can solve, and they find in the results. They work with the data owners to clean that data. This usually means cleaning the data, transforming it into more useful format, combining it into 2 or more data sets, making the data more enhanced by adding more data sets to it. After that, you'll check the data, you prepare the data to make sure it's complete and accurate. And it's very important to maintain the data integrity. Of course, you'll find things that you need to clean up and little outliers here and there, but for the results and to really show correctly, you want to make sure that there hasn't been anything to interfere with the integrity of the data. So phase 4, the most fun part. This is where you really can explore and I like to say become friends with your data, familiarize yourself with your data. You can sort and you filter that data. The most common tool for doing some of these things is still Excel or spreadsheets. You can identify patterns, draw conclusions, make predictions, and make some data-driven recommendations by just becoming familiar with the data. And share. Share is the 5th phase of this approach. Here, the data analysts interpret results and share them with other stakeholders, make effective data-driven decisions. So in this phase, this is really your visualization. Visualization will be your best friend because when you're dealing with such large amounts of data, to be able to convey your message, you want to present it in a very simplified way. Use storytelling and socialize with others to see if the story really resonates with them. And polish your story before you go in with your stakeholders to share your recommendations and also prepare prepare yourself for some really tough questions. Make sure you can answer everything in the beginning of phase one, where those questions came up, and your scoping document helped with that. Those specific questions, make sure your data is answering those questions. So some tips for sharing some good visualizations. What does the data tell me? Do I understand what it's trying to say? Who is your target audience? What messages are you trying to convey? Is there a certain piece of information you want to emphasize? Think of business impact, business value. How is this bringing value? Is my visual readable? Can I understand it myself? Can others who I've socialized with it? Gather all that feedback, practice it with someone who has no idea what the issue you were trying to solve. Practice, practice, practice. What is the simplest way to visualize my idea? So definitely use some visualizations, but I would really keep it simple. Not a lot of flashy things. Stay away from the 3Ds, too many colors. Just keep it really, really simple. You should be able to just like glance at it, or someone should just be able to glance at it and understand what you're trying to convey. So the last phase in this process is the share, or the sorry. Okay, here we are. The next phase, the last phase, is act. So this is when your stakeholders are ready to hear your story. Your visualization is ready. This is the exciting moment when the business takes all your insights as an analyst. You've provided all the information, and you've put it out there to solve the original business problem. All this work is from asking the right questions in the phase one, in the ask phase. You've analyzed and shared, and this is where you shine. This is where you can showcase your work, your analysis, and you contribute as an analyst to make an impact to the business. So in summary, amp up your data analyst skills. Once you get these new skills, you'll feel very empowered to do this analysis. You won't have to lean on so many other people like in your analytics or data science organization. Some of the tools today are so easy to use. I felt very empowered just learning the tools we have in my company. And I do a lot of the analysis work on compliance use cases that we have. I use this process. I'm still practicing this process with others to really understand the problem fully that we're trying to solve, and really to understand the outcome of what needs to be done. The 5 whys: you can't solve a problem unless you know the cause. Leverage the SMART framework to scope questions to be answered, and to also understand what the expectations and deliverables are from your stakeholders so you're aligned. And convey the message with a simple visualization. So that is my talk today. I hope this inspires you to gain new skills. Reach out if you're seeking resources to enhance your skills. I have lots of ideas. There's a ton of things out there. If I had more time, I would take all the courses I could. But you have to balance things. I have to balance with my life and my things I like to do, like the singing and family and my family vacations and that sort of thing. But yes, I'm on LinkedIn. If you'd also are interested in opportunities at Snowflake, feel free to reach out or learning more about Snowflake. Happy to help out. Thank you so much. See if there's any questions here. Oh, lots of questions. Let's see. Okay, 100% agree on focus on Excel, SQL, Python skills, and data visualization tools. Would also add some Linux basics as well. Yes. And guess what? There's tons of Linux classes at the junior college. I think I just want to go back to go back to school. Lots of SQL and database classes. In fact, there's a whole Amazon, Google, Microsoft certification program you can do right through your junior college. Do you recommend any programming languages? I highly recommend Python, and that's Python is taught even at this junior college here in Livermore, California, and Bay Area as the introduction to programming. And it was actually very challenging, but I got through it. I got an A. There was many nights. I don't know if I could do that full time, but it was an awesome class. I was very impressed with a lot of the students there. Yeah, so my son actually went through junior college, and he changed his idea of what he wanted to do like 3 or 4 times. He started in music. He's very talented in music, and then he tried to do the computer thing. He said, "Mom, I can't sit at a desk all day." This was before COVID. Now he's doing film, and he's transferring to another college in a film program. So I think junior colleges are a wonderful way to try out new skills, and a cheap way to do it as well. A woman after my own heart. I will love to go back to school and do computer programming too. Yes, I wish I could just spend more time doing those things. So I learn a lot on the job too. Being at Snowflake, there's a ton of experts, and the actual platform is really easy to use. So I feel empowered thinking, okay, if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. So anyways, feel free to reach out, and would love to make the connection.